Today is November 14th, Sunday. This video is about the preview of, yes, I'm finally traveling again. My 14th Yolo solo trip, which is the 6th time in the midst of COVID-19 since last year. So my last actual trip was to Perth late February, which is already more than 8 months from now. And my last one could be, I could have gone visited to Adelaide late June this year during the winter break, but unfortunately the Delta variant came to Australia by the first case in Sydney a bit earlier than late June, which is sometime around mid-June, and then Greater Sydney entered the lockdown between June 26th to October 10th. That's 3 months, 14 days, 106 days plus 5 hours between June 26th 6 p.m. to October 10th 11:59 p.m. That's 2,549 hours, 152,940 minutes, 917,640 seconds during this 3 months-ish of lockdown, although it's factually still shorter than Melbourne's longest lockdown last year. And then during then, because of the relevant border closures regardless of interstate and intrastate, my plan obviously had to be cancelled. This time I'm not going to Adelaide, but thankfully as we exit the lockdown, because of the high vaccination rate, by that time when we exit the lockdown, it's 70-ish%, and now we already surpassed 90% fully vaccinated, as in people who are 16 years old or above, like me. And this time I'm going to Victoria for the 4th time since also late November last year, when Greater Melbourne, or in general Victoria, their lockdown ends and New South Wales reopens its border to Victoria. So yes, this will be my 4th time to Victoria. First time it's in between December 25th to 28th in 2017. Second time it's July 16th to July 20th in 2019. And last time, similarly, when Greater Melbourne or Victoria entered lockdown and New South Wales reopened its border to Victoria. Yes, last year, November, but late November 25th to 27th. And this time I'm going to Victoria for the 4th time, kind of mid-November, November 15th Monday to November 19th Friday. So 5 days and 4 nights. So the last 3 times I mostly went to Melbourne. So this time, yes, I will go to Melbourne again for the 4th time. And apart from Melbourne, I will also, if you consider another city, I will also go to Geelong, which is, according to some sort of facts, I search on Wikipedia, Geelong is the second most populated place or city. Depends on how you consider Geelong. So Geelong is the second most populated place behind Melbourne in Victoria. So Melbourne is the most populated, of course, state capital, and then Geelong, it's the second most populated. So I will go to Melbourne, of course, for the 4th time, and also try to explore this small city, but still second most populated place in Victoria in the state, Geelong. So I will go to, in this 14th Yolo solo trip, also the 6th time in the midst of COVID-19 since last year, I will go to Melbourne and Geelong. So practically speaking, talking about the border restrictions, of course, Victoria and New South Wales, they have a different kind of border restrictions system. For Victoria, entering Victoria from interstate, they have some sort of different light of system called green zone, orange zone, and red zone. So it's just like traffic light system for the purposes to enter Victoria. So on October 20th, I will put the relevant border restriction details from entering Victoria or entering New South Wales in the description down below, so you can have a look, but I will talk about briefly. So on October 20th, Victoria reclassified Greater Sydney from red zone to orange zone. So orange zone means, because if I'm fully vaccinated, and fully vaccinated as in received both doses of COVID-19 vaccine, I can get an orange zone permit at Service Victoria to enter Victoria. You do not need to get tested for COVID-19 and quarantine, even though if you are in an orange zone, because I'm already fully vaccinated. And then on November 5th, which is slightly more than 1 week ago, Victoria classifies all local government areas in all states and territories, that obviously includes New South Wales, are green zone. So technically everywhere in Australia it's green zones. So yes, November 5th, Greater Sydney is again reclassified from orange zone to green zone. So what green zone means, it's basically simply obtain a permit at Service Victoria and then you can enter Victoria, regardless of your if you're fully vaccinated or not, or if you need medical exemption. So that means as long as I apply for the Victorian travel permit, then I can enter Victoria. So as long as you are, you don't have those COVID-19 symptoms, or you haven't been to those exposure site interstate, or unless you are deemed to be a close contact of the case or some sort of everything else, as long as you don't have those kind of restrictions, all parts of Australia, local government areas in all states and territories are currently green zones. You can simply obtain a permit and off you go, Victoria. So that's how you need to do if you enter Victoria from interstate like New South Wales. So, and then 19th of Friday, yes, I will be back from Victoria. So how it's border restriction like from entering New South Wales from interstate. So in my opinion, New South Wales has the most kind of unrestricted border restrictions, because you don't really need entry declaration to enter New South Wales from interstate. You need, but it depends on if there is some sort of when there are close contact or casual contact or some areas of concern previously in not only Victoria but also Queensland or Australian capital territory. So as in for now, you don't need entry declaration form. You do not need to complete the entry declaration to enter New South Wales from any interstate, which includes Victoria, which is good, because simply you just as long as you have a valid boarding pass, once you land in New South Wales, off you go. And yes, I forgot to mention, New South Wales technically reopened the border to Victoria on November 1st, when they also opened its international border to, fully vaccinated Australian, like Victoria did as well. They opened to Victoria on the same day. So that's why, now you can just simply apply a permit to enter Victoria, and you do not need to fill in the complete entry declaration, and then you can simply enter Victoria. But interestingly, according to New South Wales government website, it said people who live in Victoria cannot travel to New South Wales for a holiday or recreation if they are over 16 years of age and not fully vaccinated. So I mean, obviously it does not apply to me because I'm already vaccinated. But you do not need to complete entry declaration. How they're gonna check if people are fully vaccinated or not? But anyways, I'm already fully vaccinated, so it does not matter to me. So yes, November 15th to 19th, Monday to Friday, I will be traveling to Victoria, Melbourne, and Geelong. Melbourne already the 4th time. Geelong, kind of, yeah, the 1st time. The second most populated place in the city. As long as you simply obtain a permit at Service Victoria, which is for the steps you just done within like 5 minutes, and then once you're in Victoria, off you go. As long as you do not have those restrictions, like you do not have COVID-19, you haven't been to exposure site, not close contact, or you know what I mean, right? And then yes, then you can go to Victoria, enter Victoria easily. And then New South Wales, as long as you haven't been to those concerned place like close contact or casual contact, you can simply enter New South Wales, and you do not need to follow those whatever stay at home orders. So thanks Daniel Andrews and Dom Perrottet. Thanks Dan Dom, both Victorian and New South Wales Premier, to kind of get things back to normal in the midst of COVID-19, especially how to live with COVID-19, because yes, Victoria and New South Wales are the second, Victorian is the third, New South Wales is the second most fully vaccinated state behind ACT. So I already mentioned New South Wales, it's already 90-something% fully vaccinated. Victoria, 80-something% fully vaccinated, although the cases, daily cases on average, Victoria it's still higher than New South Wales. But I think at this time, when border restrictions ease, given my fully vaccinated status, and also the situation in Victoria and New South Wales, it's kind of relatively COVID safe. There's no such a thing called absolute safety, especially in this COVID-19 pandemic. The reality. So yes, you need a permit to enter Victoria from interstate, but you do not need when you enter New South Wales. So that's basically the preview of the video. Again, next Monday to Friday, November 15th to 19th, in this 14th Yolo solo trip, also the 6th time in the midst of COVID-19, I will be in Victoria, especially Melbourne and Geelong. So be sure to subscribe to this channel and follow my Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, and Twitter, so you won't miss out the details in terms of posts or stories or videos about how I spend or what I do in Melbourne and Geelong. And I will see you tomorrow at Sydney Airport. Yes, of course I will fly. Sydney Airport, I will see you there, as in when I fly from Sydney to Melbourne. See you tomorrow.